So, we Catholics, we have a tradition of collecting relics, don't we? And relics are sort of pieces of saints' bodies or their clothing or something which brings us close to them and helps us to, in some way, sort of feel their holiness to accompany us through life. Well, I have a relic of my own, except this is very much a secular relic, and it's a signed baseball cap, signed by Roger Federer. Okay. Now I'll show you this today because here's my story behind it. 4.5 years ago, I was wearing this baseball cap. I'm just going to leave it here in case you want to venerate it afterwards. 4.5 years ago, I was in Australia at the Australian Open, and I'd gone there to watch Roger Federer play against Nikolai Davydenko. I was wearing my baseball cap, and I saw an opportunity. At the end of the match, which of course he won, they go through the players to a door to exit the stadium. But before they get to the door, or as they get to the door, all the fans put down all their magazines or their big tennis balls with Sharpie pens, and the tennis player will sign as many of them as they can before they go on. So I saw my chance. I thought, I'm going to get my baseball cap signed. I had a slight advantage, because as I got to the bit over the door, I realised it was only children, and they're small. And I'm big. So, trampling over the children, not literally, I leaned over them and got my baseball cap down, and Roger Federer signed my baseball cap. And this is the baseball cap he signed. So, and I got it in a frame and all those kinds of things. But as I walked away, I realised I couldn't get back to my seat because it was in another section of the stadium I'd sneaked through. So I had to go back to the most available seat, easiest seat to get to, and I happened to sit next to a Chinese girl. She travelled from China to watch Roger Federer play. And so I put my baseball cap, I was very, like a kid who just got his favourite toy or something, I was very happy. And she looked at my baseball cap and she went, "Did Roger Federer sign your baseball cap?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he did." And then she went, "Did you touch him?" I knew exactly what she felt. I was like, no, but I got close. Contact is important. That's what it showed to me that day, and it's very much a human experience. Contact between two persons can take a relationship from nothing to something to everything in a person's life. It means so much to us as human beings. Imagine, for example, you're meeting with an acquaintance, or you're going into a meeting with someone to discuss some important business. Normally, that meeting begins with a shaking of the hands. We shake hands, don't we? And then the discussion starts. And if the meeting has gone really, really well, whether it's a family reunion or it's a business meeting or whatever, it might end with a hug. If it's gone okay, at least it will end with a handshake. Some human contact. If it's gone badly, you know it's gone badly because there is no contact on departure. Contact is relationship. That hand-to-hand, body-to-body relationship is so important to us as human beings. It's so important to us as family. It's what takes us from acquaintances to friends to family. We hear it in today's first reading today, and then in the Gospel as well, when Jesus mirrors the story of Elisha. What do you have? You have the prophet Elisha, who is passing through the same town, the Shunammite town. And at first, the woman sees him and must have noticed him many times before making his acquaintance. And then calls him in for a meal. And it becomes such a relationship that Elisha will just stop him whenever he's going past. He's passing through, stops him for dinner. They gather around table, and then eventually the woman says to her husband, "We need to make a room for this guy. He needs to move in with us, so not only do we have food for him, but we have a bed." He becomes part of the family home. The stranger, with whom they had no contact, has become an acquaintance. He becomes a friend around the table, and eventually Elisha becomes part of the family. It's what Jesus says today in the Gospel. Anyone who welcomes you welcomes me. The problem for us is that we may be missing our future friends, our future family members, each and every single day of our lives. Because Jesus is to be found not in the one that we already love, but in the stranger, the weak, the poor, the vulnerable. And those people are always in our midst, sometimes physically closer to us than members of our own family. The prophet Elisha didn't start off as a prophet to this woman. He became the prophet Elisha to her by the strengthening of that relationship around the table. The person we don't know can't be Jesus to us if we continue to ignore them. And we might say, well, we can't help it. We can't ignore someone we don't know. That's the point. Jesus is saying, get to know the stranger. Welcome them into your heart. Welcome them into your company. Welcome them into your home. Because in doing so, in greeting the stranger, you greet me. Now this is an issue for all of us as Christians or as members of society. We walk past so many people during the day without acknowledging their presence. We could be walking past Jesus. How often we say, well, I love Jesus, and yet the opportunity to love him has walked past us hundreds of times a day. It's so important that we realise that Jesus is all around us, not as a thought, as an idea, but as the person sitting next to you, the person walking by you, the person who may be in this church right now, that presence of Jesus in your life. So, remember at the end of last week's homily, we ended with a sign of peace. I used my authority as parish priest and I moved the sign of peace to just after the homily. And I said to everyone, find someone who you don't recognise or you may not know, and go up to them, shake their hands, offer them a sign of peace, and just tell them your name. That first introduction. So we're going to up the ante on contact this week. So we'll become acquaintances with people. So this week, I'm going to ask you, if you can, if it's possible, to find the same person or to find a new person. And instead of just shaking their hands, why don't we give them a hug instead? Yeah? You're probably worried about what I'm going to ask you to do next week already. Don't worry. The peace of the Lord be with you always. Let's offer each other the sign of peace.